Welcome to All Scale Slot Card Den. I'm Dennis, and it's that time of year again, and time to try to find that perfect gift for the person in your life who's very difficult to find a gift for. It's someone that you'll ask them, "What can I get you?" You don't know, you've run out of options, you don't know what to do, so you just flat out ask them, "What can I get for you? What would make you happy?" So their stock answer would always be the same. I have everything I need. You don't have to get me anything. Just come by and say hi to me and spend a little time with me and I'll be happy. Sure, that's wonderful. But you really still want to get them something that you know they'll enjoy, they'll appreciate, and they'll have fun with. What better way than a Carrera Digital slot card track? It's going to offer them fun that nobody could ever imagine. Especially now, one way to tell if this is the right way to go, one way to tell is maybe one day sit down in casual conversation with them, just mention, hey, let's say it's your dad. Hey, Dad, do you know what's a slot car? Or do you remember slot cars? And just watch their expression. If they get a little twinkle in their eye, a little smile on their face, as they reminisce about all the fun they had with slot cars when they were a kid, you know this is the right way to go. Um, Slot cars were huge in the 1960s, 70s, 80s. There were TV commercials everywhere promoting slot cars. Kids in every neighborhood had them, race them, have fun with them, collected them. So if you're in need of a gift for somebody from that era, I think this may be the perfect way to go, especially if they have a good memory of it in their childhood. They will love this. There's something for everyone. Now, if typically if they grew up in the 70s and 60s, chances are HO cars were what they had in their houses, and they would set up tracks on the floor and had a lot of fun with it. And that was a nice, fun toy for them throughout their early years. But as they got to be teenagers, typically, as they got to be teenagers, they, if they didn't put it away by choice, because they got into dating and things like that, and they didn't have time, school activities. It became something that unfortunately maybe they were ostracized for still playing with toys. Their friends would come over and would see a track on the floor and say, "Oh, you're still playing with toys, you got to put that away, no girls are going to like that," or whatever. So that became the end of it and went into the closet and probably never came out again. So that's I think a typical story for most males, at least, that were that were playing with slot cars back in the day. And from personal experience, that was pretty much my experience. I wasn't like ostracized, but I just felt the pressure of, like, I don't want anybody to see me when I got into my early teens, like, wrongly so. And now I know how wrong I was to feel like that. But at the time, I felt the pressure of not wanting to continue this. And it's a sad thing, but it's an unfortunate thing. And I'm sure it's happened in many cases. So I just want to point that out, that the desire to have these and just really have fun with these is always there. It's just suppressed because of the pressures of society. And but as people get to be older, as they get to be in their 50s and 60s, they realize it doesn't matter what other people think. Having fun firsthand is the main thing, and having fun with your families and enjoying yourselves, that's the main thing. And so to get them back into it is fantastic. And if you're going to do this, I would suggest, I know space is a big issue for a lot of people. The cost up front is a lot. Maybe you might want to see if you can have other family members or other friends all chip in. And instead of getting all little gifts like mugs and t-shirts, chip in a few bucks a piece, decide what level of track you want to get, and divide it up. And this way you can get something really nice, something that this person will really enjoy right up front. And things can always be added on, but the basic starter set, maybe a couple extra straightaway tracks, and I think they're good to go. But space is always an issue. And of course, you can always the person can always set it up on the living room floor. It's a great little evening of entertainment. Have it set up on the floor when the family or friends come over and you can race on the floor. That's great. But if you're like me, it becomes a little bit of a hassle to be on the floor. It collects dust. People step on it. It's always in the way. Your wife might say, please take that down. It's always in the way, and we have to clean, and we have people coming over. So having a little dedicated spot for it is very important, I believe, to having a lasting, product and a lasting enjoyment for it. If you don't have a large space, a smaller space can work, even a dining room tabletop that you can temporarily set up. But in my opinion, getting it up off the floor is the first step in having that permanency, that real sense of this is a hobby. When it's on the floor, it seems more like a toy. Same thing, same exact thing to me. This is just my opinion. When it's on the floor, it seems more like a toy. When you get it up on the table, it's more like a hobby. I can't explain it. Even if it's just a little segment of the person's garage, or in the back of the couch in the living room, if there's a little spot there, maybe a 5-foot by 3-foot area, and you can have a lot of fun in that little spot and just enjoy having just even an oval slot car track is a lot of fun. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Just getting out there and having fun, taking a car and zipping it around an oval is a lot of fun, especially to someone who's inclined to really like it, who's had a history with it, and even those who haven't. One time we had my niece over, and she didn't know what a slot car was. She never heard of it. She was 20 years old, never heard of it. She came over, and my grandsons were here, and they showed her the ropes, and within a couple of minutes, she was out here changing lanes and passing cars and having a ball with it. And she had never heard of slot cars. 2 minutes later, she's a pro at the stuff. So anybody can learn this stuff. And anybody who has a history would, I'm sure, love coming back and just really appreciate this as a gift. Especially, I think, in my mind, digital is the way to go. It provides a more interactive experience. If someone's going to be on their own, there's what you call analog, where you just stay in the same lane. You can have 2 lanes, and you can have your choice of lanes. This way you can race one other car, or just drive around by yourself, enjoy and appreciate a car going around the track. But digital is more of interactive. You can have up to 6 people racing against each other and passing and trying to get by each other and blocking, and you can have even cars going around that are preset to drive around with no driver, and you have to pass them and predict their lane changes. So much fun. Now, this person that you're buying for, they could be, they could have had an HO set when they were a kid. Many of us did. And that's probably what most people remember from slot cars back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, having the HO sets. So, there's so many different styles of cars that Carrera has made. And I'm just singling out Carrera because of the digital aspect. But, if you get into this and this person gets into it, any brand of slot car can pretty much be digitized and to run on a Carrera track. Takes a little bit of skill, but there's videos all over the internet about how to do it. So just as a beginner's set point, we'll start with the Carrera Digital cars. And most people had probably a car like that if they were into AFX. So here's a super size of it. It's a larger scale, bigger car that you can really hold in your hand, and it really has some weight to it and some feel to it, and something that someone can love watching going around the track, bringing back memories of a car they had like this as a child. Perhaps this person is into foreign sports cars, Ferraris, and loves the GT cars, and just loves that, and just would always want to drive a Ferrari. But most people don't have the luxury of being able to afford one. So here is your chance to drive a Ferrari around a track and drive it at a level that you can just take chances with it. These cars are very robust. They could take a lot of impact and still keep on going. So that would be your chance to explore that, or this person's chance. I keep saying yours, but the person you're buying for. But I have a feeling if you're buying for it, you're going to be involved in this in some way too. Maybe say it's your dad, and he always talked about this goofy movie about the Smokey and the Bandit that he used to love watching. He used to sit you down and watch it when it was on TV. There's cars that Carrera made that are just like that, represent that going around the track. Maybe this person was into the muscle cars like Mustangs, or had a Trans Am back in the 70s that looked just like this one, and just always talked about that red Trans Am that they always regretted selling, but they had to. Here it is. They can have that back and drive that back around and have fun with it once again. If they love police cars or are police officers, some sort of law enforcement, there's all different sorts of police cars and rescue vehicles that have been made by Carrera. And you can just find one that's more fitting for their situation, and they would really appreciate that, tracking down the bandits of the world. Maybe they're into rally cars. Carrera's made a series of rally cars. If they're into the old 50s cars, these Bel Airs and Thunderbirds and stuff from the 50s, they're out there. Carrera made them, and they are so much fun to drive. Or maybe they like the newer muscle cars. There's this Camaro from 2007. All sorts of new cars that Carrera is making. And every one of these cars, there's different versions. These aren't the only versions. This is one type of paint scheme that you see. There's many others available for each one of these models. Maybe they like NASCAR back in the 70s and stock cars like this, the Kane Shorts Dodge with Bobby Isaac at the helm. They always talked about their races that they would go to in the 70s. Or maybe back into the 90s and 2000s, there's these car of tomorrows. The Dodge Charger car of tomorrow from 2009. Or maybe even a modern NASCAR. This is a current day NASCAR that was just released. And there's a few of them out there too. And there'll probably be some more, hopefully. Or maybe they like the Can-Am series. Back in the 70s, there was a fantastic series called the Can-Am series. Had some very interesting cars back in the late 60s, early 70s. Or there's that popular Formula One with the world champion Max Verstappen, if they like Formula One racing. Maybe they talked about their VW bus. Maybe they went on trips with their grandparents or their parents, or maybe they had one themselves. Or maybe they just liked their hot rods. This Willis Coupe, there's people that love their hot rods. There's something for everybody, And I think if you have somebody in your life that may enjoy this, just ask them. Just ask them that simple question. Dad, do you remember what a slot car is? And see what happens. And take it from there. And good luck. And take care. Thank you.